Joe, with Kristaps and Al back last game, obviously you guys had a lot of success going small on Friday. How do you try to carry forward some of the good things you did in that game while going to some different lineups tonight?
Just keep the foundation the same, ball pressure, physical activity, and good shift activity on the weak side, protecting the paint, getting out the shooters, and defending without fouling.
And for Sam, pretty narrow role last year in just terms of catch and shoot. Looks like he's starting to attack some closeouts now, do some different things offensively. How have you encouraged him to expand his game? How have you seen him do that this year?
I think it comes from his teammates first. Guys realize his ability to put two on the ball, his ability to screen really well. So he's doing a good job of reading screening differently versus different coverages. And teams are guarding him differently, so he's got to adjust. And he just he has an innate ability to put two on the ball. And so when you can do that, it just makes everybody around you better.
Joe, Friday was a unique challenge day. Like there's some early calls you challenged, you were talked into. Can you kind of take me through like what's that process like, and whether you enjoy the challenge process? And then I think there was one you didn't challenge, and then they missed a free throw. Is that a victory because they didn't score 2 points off the possession? Like what's the challenge process like?
First, I like the challenge of listening to your questions by saying I was talked into something. So there's the challenge to see past your
right? And you like.
I know, but I wasn't talked into anything.
But you're convinced, right?
No, there's a process towards it, and so I like that challenge first of all, and then the challenge of challenging I think is also a game within itself. But I think we have certain rules that we go into as a staff that we look for, but then each opportunity presents something. So 2 games ago we had a chance to we won the challenge in the first half, and we had a chance to challenge another no-brainer in the first half, but I'm always not comfortable using both challenges in the first half. You might want to save it in the second half if there's another call, but analytically shouldn't matter when you use it. So it's just balancing the timing of things. I think at one point also the second challenge, we got charged a mandatory again, and so we were down a timeout heading into the second half because we used both. And so you're just kind of deciding about what's most important there, depending upon how the game is going. So I do enjoy trying to decipher situationally what's going on. Is this worth it right now? Do you feel like it's something we can still get a stop on? Like the one that we didn't challenge, Donovan Mitchell was off the court, and so I felt like if we could get a stop because they only had one scorer on and our defense was playing pretty well, so I didn't want to necessarily use it. So there's a few factors that go into it that I enjoy kind of sifting through before we make the decision.
Are there times are there calls you want to challenge, but you just know you can't?
Yeah, the ones where I'm not convinced we had possession of the ball, and you may win the challenge, but they still may get possession. I'm not sure that it's quite worth winning that. I think the first one on Drew, when he said he didn't foul him, but they came up with the ball, and so we don't want to win that one, and they still get the possession, and then they score, and then it's the worst of both. And so there's ones where you can't quite see who got possession of the ball, and then there's ones where it's it's a 50-50 chance. They might overturn it, they might not, but it's kind of a tough one. So you're just trying to decipher all of that. But I enjoy that 10-15 second window of are we going to do it or are we not going to do it?
And then you look back to Matt Reynolds and you're like, what the? It seems to be where you're just
are we doing this or not? Yeah. And then I'm gonna what are we doing? And to me, I like to just say F it, we're just doing it. And he's let's take our time and see what happens. And so it might have been one that we tried to and we missed the timeout because we were going to. That's the one that I was almost talked into, but I acted like I was listening and I wasn't, and then I tried to call timeout, but it was too late.
You guys generated 17 corner threes on Friday. How much of that was about the speed advantage, and was there something on film where you guys realized you could generate those shots?
I think a lot of it has to do with the speed advantage that we had getting out in transition. Also, creating the 2-on-1s. I thought Peyton and Sam and D. White, really I thought we did a great job being intentional about our screening, which got guys off the body, which forced switches, forced some overhelps, and then we were able to make the play there. So it's going to happen in transition, but the pass happens when we put 2 on the ball, whether it's because we do a good job of slipping out versus switch, creating confusion, or whatever coverage they have. So the most important thing is that we stay intentional about our screening versus different coverages and the physicality that we have in our screening.
And then with Al and Kristaps back in the lineup and one of them on the floor, because of their versatility at both ends, do you feel like you can still maintain that speed advantage?
I mean, it might look a little bit different. I think every game precedes different challenges, and so like we played them in the first half at their place last game. We played double big the majority of the game, and we were winning at halftime because of our ability to execute double big. And so I think at the end of the day, it's can you play different identities? And so there are speed challenges in transition, but there's also physical challenges. Like I expect them to double down on their physicality, especially on their drives, on their offensive rebounds. So like we have to be ready to answer that call, whether we're small or big.
Joe, 2 questions. First, going back to the challenges, I assume the main analysis is like how likely can it get overturned, and then what's like the point value of overturning it. But what about waiting for later in the game? You might have a big emotional moment where you might want to get a call back because it made a huge impact. Is that a big part of the thinking?
So you think I'm going to have emotional moments as a coach?
Well, it won't be emotional for you. It'll be emotional for the players.
No, I think it goes back to what we talked about. Like I don't necessarily. There was twice in the last 2 games where it's like you can do both in the first half, and I know analytically it would be like do that, but I'm like, I don't necessarily love that, and sometimes you have to take that one on the chin. So I think it just comes down to like the feel of the game, like how the game is going. Is it worth the point, like you said, is it worth the point value? Do we have direct possession of the ball? Will we get possession back, or does it save someone a foul? The part that I enjoy also is like I do trust the players, and so we talk about the types of plays that we're going to challenge, the ones that we're not going to challenge. And so if a player is very adamant about something certain, then I'm going to do my best to have his back because I trust them in that situation. But the one we challenged, I can't remember if it was the second or the third quarter, we used both mandatories, and there was still 6 minutes left in the quarter. And we came to the timeout and was like, listen, we used both timeouts. We can't use another one here. So like we're going to have to manage the game with our offense and play very tactical basketball in case they go on a 6-0 run. We can't use another one because we use both challenges. So like there's so many situations to go into and learn from that you're just navigating. And as long as we're on the same page about what we're doing, then we'll do it.
Is there anywhere else, I guess, in your coaching responsibilities where you came into it thinking we got to do what the analytics say, and you're kind of growing more to think about feel for the game versus the analytic call?
I'd say shot selection at times. I think, like you said, the type of shots that you're going to get late game in the fourth quarter, you try to fight for those throughout the entire game. I'm not, it's not always going to be there. And, I think at the end of the day, your best players have to make, we have to make, obviously the right play, and we have to fight for great shots. But I also think part of what makes great players is their ability to make tough shots at times. And I think you're going to, have to, do that from time to time. So I think just that balance as well is like, do we continue to fight for the best shot possible, or do we put our guys in situations to where they can make plays at the end of the game? So I think it's that balance there.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.